room the other day. We came in and then had some technical issues. But tonight it is hope that we're going to go straight through with no glitch. So we want to say thank you. We welcome you, all of you out there. Please help us to share the show immediately when you receive signal. Um, Tonight, Alfonso and I will be here in studios um, to present this broadcast. If you looked at the flyer, we will be covering four important topics we think necessary to discuss from our lens and from your viewership and your perception, your take in the chat room. We'll open the line at some point and you'll call in so you can share your perspective. In the meantime, let me welcome my man Alfonso. Alfonso, welcome. Listen, it's good to be back here. We've decided now that we're going to do 1 day a week every Tuesday as we crawl, because this thing is a lot to put into it. The last time we tried on that Monday and we had a
Technical
situation,
issues,
but
yes.
this time around, I can hear you. You can
Yep,
hear me.
absolutely.
Everything looks good. So good to see you, my brother. Welcome uh, to this broadcast.
Thank you, Volcano. Good to see you too. I must say to you and to the audience, the amount of work, technical background stuff you've put into making sure that the issues room returns to the air. So thank you very much as well. Thank you to our viewers for joining us. And please, as Volcano says, share the link and get more and more people to join us. Well, our goal here is to really change the directory of public conversation and debate that's going on and bring you credibility, fact-based
Do you
analysis.
have anything open
I'm
in
I'm
your?
hearing echo.
Yeah, so it's coming from you this time around. So if there's, I would say, just kind of lower anything you have there that will give feedback.
So that will be my laptop, which I
All
don't.
right. So yeah. But go ahead. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah, it still is. Do you hear me?
I'm
You
hearing
don't.
you.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, you're not. Were you hearing me?
I can hear you. Yes, yes.
Are you hearing me now?
I'm hearing you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So once you hear me, that's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
But can
So
you hear me?
I that probably what the problem was. Are
Okay.
you still hearing the echo?
Not no, not that. But
No.
could you
No.
just? But you gotta hear me because how do we exchange? you know. So
Were you
just
were you still hearing the echo? Let me turn it on. Tell me if you're hearing echo still. Are
yeah.
you hearing echo?
No, it's
Are
okay
you
right
still
there.
hearing
So
echo?
no, can you hear me at that point?
I couldn't hear you.
So yeah.
I'm
So
not
turn it so
hearing
you
you.
can hear me. You gotta hear me. But you turn your speaker on a little bit so that you can hear me. Whether you lower it, turn it on. Let's see.
I hear you. Is there echo?
No.
Okay, good. Probably too loud.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Lower it to.
All right.
You want to set it up in a way that you can hear me. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Go
good.
ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So to our listeners, as we always have known the issues room to be, we'll bring you critical factual analysis of public discussions, and we also invite your participation in this debate. So we're happy to be back. Share the link, invite others to join, and let's have a debate. As you know, we're different than many people. We do not engage in gossip. We want to promote factual, balanced discussion of issues.
Yeah, and the reason that prompted us to come back because a lot of our folks, our viewers, our fans, they were wondering whether we fell apart, whether we had a fight. And I'm like, no, we all boys now. I don't think we able to fight. The problem here has to do with schedule. Everyone is a professional. We have different elevations in our lives. More demands on us, and so it just created a conflict of interest for us to be able to really, find a schedule that will fit for all of us, and that is why we want to ease our way into coming back.
Absolutely, we can never fight. I don't know if as you correctly said, I don't think we have the energy and the strength to fight anymore. We did so when we were kids, so that's not what it's about. And Fortunately, we're able to find a time that works for us, which is on Tuesdays. And as Avocado said, we're beginning to crawl before we walk. So at least we'll do one day a week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. And if that works out, we might, by the grace of God, increase. No promises yet, but we'll for now, we're starting with Tuesdays, 7 p.m. weekly.
And Thomas Awaji, thank you for joining us. If you're hearing everything crystal, no echo or anything, please give us a thumb up or an okay. We just want to make sure that we're doing justice. If all the audio, and everything is good to go. I'm still trying to share here, Alfonso, to the group page and stuff like that. But anyway, everyone who saw the flyer, he says we owe him a bottle of King Juice. Yeah, yeah. I will get the King Juice to you when I go Liberia. Yeah, yeah. It's a commitment. The man say he want King Juice
From where?
from Liberia.
From Liberia. Only Liberia
Yeah,
can juice. Anyone can juice from the island. That works too. All right. It says Lao and Clay. Okay, that's good.
yeah.
I also
That's
see
good.
brother
That's good.
brother Amos
So
on.
yeah, so the conversation we wanted to hold here tonight has to do with, Yeke being entitled to a diplomatic passport, um, mis perception around it. Some people say he's still a lawmaker, so it's his entitlement. Other people say no. The other topic we want to talk about is the Ebola. You know how uh, horrendous it was for Liberia back in 2013, um, and it's back in East Africa. And our borders are so porous, um, and we want to discuss this tonight to see what the government has in place, because it seems to be on the horizon, and you think that it's not easy to come, but we have a lot of people traveling from East Africa around Africa and around the world. So we want to talk about it to see if there would be anything the government doing now that is on the horizon. We also want to talk about the University of Liberia and the potential for registration fees to be increased, and also the um, establishment of NIMBO. We'll talk about it. Thomas Fala, this organization is established to support President Bouakar's administration.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely. Thank you for kind of for going over the issues. I'm sure you want us to begin with the Yaka Koluba um, diplomatic passport situation, whether or not he's entitled to a diplomatic passport. Unfortunately, our country is having these type of conversations instead of talking about job creation for our young people, instead of talking about fighting corruption and building the necessary infrastructure for our country. We're discussing Yaka Koluba's entitlement to a diplomatic passport. First and foremost, one of the arguments Yaka made is that he wants a passport so he can go see his family in Ghana. As a member of ECOWAS and of the ECOWAS Union, Liberians do not need diplomatic passports or visas to travel to ECOWAS countries. Yaka can easily go to Ghana to go see a family without making noise about diplomatic passport. That aside, let's look at the legal implications here. Yaka was removed by his colleagues from the legislature. They are the ones who are supposed to approve whether or not he gets a diplomatic passport. And he was taken through that process. He went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and they said, go bring documentation from the House of Representatives, because that's the process that you are entitled to a diplomatic passport. He went through the process and the House said he's not entitled to a diplomatic process. Yaka has a case in court. If information in the media is correct, the Supreme Court will decide tomorrow, and the Supreme Court decides to reinstate him, then Yaka can go and get his diplomatic passport. As it stands, though, he's not entitled to a diplomatic passport because, as far as the House is concerned, he was removed. the Supreme Court can reverse that decision, and when they do, then Yeke can go apply for a diplomatic passport. As it stands currently, I do not believe that Yeke is entitled to a diplomatic passport because he was expelled, and the House of Representatives has the authority to punish its members, including and leading to expulsion, and that is exactly what happened. So I don't think he's entitled to a diplomatic passport at this time. But we have less than 24 hours to hear from the Supreme Court to see whether or not Yakesh should get a diplomatic passport. It is unfortunate that
So,
this is what our
Alfonso,
is discussing. Yeah.
your camera is going blurred, my man. I don't know what's going on. Your whole image is blurring.
Okay.
Don't try to fix too much there. I don't know if it's coming from your internet signal or what, but you're
It
going.
shouldn't be. Is it better? I just lighten it.
No, it's not. It's not a matter of better. It's the fact that you look like a silhouette. Yeah,
Oh,
completely
really?
ghost. Yeah. So I
Okay.
don't know what that's about. Honestly.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead. Come in.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can fix it.
No, I just wanted to put that out there to you.
Okay.
So quickly, I kind of concur with you. Okay, it's coming together now. It's coming together. I kind of concur with you, Alfonso, on the issue of diplomatic passport. The Supreme Court does not have any authority or power to me. I mean, to compel the House to give Yeke diplomatic passport. You only obtain diplomatic passport through your employer, right? The foreign ministry requests that. So, for instance, when I worked at LBS, the trip that I made out of the country uh, for school, for journalist schooling, LBS wrote the foreign ministry, and I was issued a diplomatic passport. I believe it was the brown passport, if you remember, and that's what I traveled on. Now, I worked for the government, so it's apparent that based on the context under which I traveled, maybe we didn't have the time to get an ordinary passport. And since LBS was involved with my travel, they requested diplomatic passport, right? And it was honored with no question asked. I got the passport. Now, had I gone there and requested diplomatic passport without any formal letter from LBS, of course, then the foreign ministry would have denied it, right?
Yep. Absolutely. So you're correct. Diplomat passport is a right. Every citizen is entitled to a passport. But to get a diplomatic passport is a privilege, like, and it comes with your status and your title. And so you're right. You were representing the government broadcaster. The government was sending you. You're a government representative. So government saw it fit to give you a diplomatic passport because it comes with certain immunities as a representative of a government going to another country and to another government. In this case, Mr. Yeke Koliba got a diplomatic passport because he's a member of House of Representatives. So that's one thing. The House of Representatives saying you're no longer a member of this chamber and therefore you don't have that privilege. And I keep saying privilege because it's a privilege, it's not a right to have a diplomatic passport. Every citizen is entitled to a passport, but not a diplomatic passport. So the House is saying here you're not entitled to a diplomatic passport and therefore we cannot give you one. Now, he got a diplomatic passport by virtue of the fact that he was a member of the House of Representatives. So if the Supreme Court rules and say the way you remove Yeke is wrong, therefore you should reinstate it, and it gets reinstated, then at that stage, he would be entitled to the privileges and immunities of being a member of the House of Representatives. And at that point, he can then ask for and be given a diplomatic passport. But we're not at that point yet. And that's my view, and you're totally correct as well.
And surprisingly, people will say things, and sometimes it bothers me. But let me post. See, Dr. Telfo Edmonds here is saying here, if Yaka wants a diplomatic passport as a former representative, if he gets it, then all former office holders may also feel entitled. Secondly, Supreme Court cannot demand legislature reversed themselves when dealing with the first branch of government. So that's the take from Dr. Telford Amos. So yes, again, somebody wrote something on Facebook and said, "But Joseph Boyka had diplomatic passport." Well, he's a statesman. He's a former vice president. Um, Again, sheep luck and gold luck not the same. Somebody said that. Uh, so how do you make out of that? If
So yeah,
was it the because I believe the vice president is the head of the Senate, right? Could the Senate have written on his behalf, or was his diplomatic passport not expired and he was still entitled to use it as a former vice president and a statesman?
so first and foremost, as you correctly said before, and as I also said, whether one gets a diplomatic passport is a prerogative of the government, of the authority. It's a prerogative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it's a prerogative of where they work, provided that where they work gives them that privilege. The House of Representatives, from my understanding, gives the privilege of members of the House of Representatives, and the Senate gives that privilege as well, extended by the executive branch, for them to have diplomatic passports when they travel because of the immunities that they have. President Boakai, when he was vice president, got his diplomatic passport, and when he even ceased to be vice president, before he became president, um, the government at the time could have taken his diplomatic passport from him if they felt that he was engaged in any activities that would degrade the image of the country. In this case, the House of Representatives has made a decision that Mr. Yeke Koliva is no longer a member of the House of Representatives, so that privilege extended to members of the House is no longer extended to him, and B, that they don't see fit that he should travel with a diplomatic passport, perhaps because they don't think he can represent the image fully of the government and the House. On what basis will a former member of the House of Representatives be traveling as a diplomat? Mind you, diplomatic passports come with certain obligations on the issuing authority. So the authority issuing the diplomatic passport must know that you uphold the integrity and standard of the institution or of the country. That is why they don't give everybody diplomatic passport, because somebody might use a diplomatic passport to go commit crime somewhere. It will be a reflection on the government and the country. That's why everybody doesn't get a diplomatic passport. And this is basically what people just have to understand. Unfortunately, in our society, in our country, everything is partisan politics. Everything is about fighting every day. Everybody wants to attack the other side and fight and criticize government, and just so, because unfortunately that's the culture we have in our country. When you do that, then you are a hero. Then you are a great advocate. Whether the thing you even advocating for makes sense or it doesn't make sense, people just say, "Yeah, you jump in the street, hey, whatever." I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day. Or you condemned soup demonstration. I did not condemn soup's right to demonstrate. I question and condemn soup's manner of demonstration. You have a right to demonstrate. That comes with your right under freedom of expression. That doesn't mean you should set up roadblocks and block traffic. When you do that, you are infringing on the rights of people who are going to sell their market to earn a living, students who are going to school, sick people who have been driven to the hospital to get medical care. How is that a right when you block these other, obstruct these other people from exercising their right? And when police come and say move and you don't remove and it disperse you, now it's a problem. Of course, the police shouldn't use violence, but if they receive violence, they also have a right to respond just proportionately to the violence that they get. That's protected by human rights. That's protected by our law. Unfortunately, we have a very polarized society, particularly people who don't understand these concepts, and social media has unfortunately compounded it. But that's where we are today.
So as we dwell on the Yeke issue quickly, at this time he has the right to travel, but on a an ordinary passport, which is the ECOWAS passport. I think it gives him even more clout to travel in the sub-region without any hindrance. Because sometimes diplomatic passport has a way of
Yep.
signaling you out,
Yep. Mhm.
because again, at any port of entry, you could be asked, "What's your diplomatic mission?"
Yep.
How do you explain that, Yeke? You bad muffing the government, you talking crap about the government, then you want to ride on the government's image.
Yep.
How is that reconcilable?
Yeah. And I don't understand why people should even be traveling with diplomatic passports going on personal matters. Like he wants to go visit his family, so the government should issue him a diplomatic passport. Like, how does that even make sense? I would simply get a letter passe and go and see my wife and children and come back. But I think one of the things too is that I think Yeke it might not necessarily be seeking a diplomatic passport. He might just be trying to create political hate to say, oh, they also denied me a diplomatic passport. Now I can't go see ordinary citizens. You can get a letter passe and go and travel in the West African sub-region. You do not need a passport, let alone a diplomatic passport.
So I guess that instead, this part of the topic that Yeke, based on where we are, is not entitled to a diplomatic passport. The government does not if the government rather does not want to issue one through the House of Representatives, then there's nothing that can be done. The Supreme Court does not have the authority to demand and request the what you call it, the House of Representatives to issue him a diplomatic passport. It stays status quo, even though he says that he is unlawfully removed. He considers himself still a representative, and until the matter is adjudicated in court, and the result or the outcome, wherever it tilts, until that takes place, he still considers himself a lawmaker, and he entitled to all the amenities uh, that is provided to a sitting lawmaker. What I think is contrary here is that he's not a sitting lawmaker. He has no uh, passage into the House of Representatives. He is not allowed. All of his amenities were stripped of him. So, Alfonso, you play football.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You play football,
I play
and
for.
when we used to go for practice in the
Yep.
evening,
Yep.
and they change somebody, man, say he ain't sitting down.
Like government boom.
No, we call it carpenter shop.
Yeah.
So Yeke is a cop. You're right too. He's a government boom
Yeah,
and he's a
government boom.
carpenter shop.
Yeah.
So I mean, cause Yeke, you got no voice.
Yep. And
So all the going around the place,
yep.
eating in Kobo shop. I saw him washing dishes. Uh, Somebody said he couldn't pay, so the people say he must wash dishes for the food he ate. So he was washing dishes. But what's wrong with this guy, man? What's wrong with him, Alfonso?
Unfortunately, we got some of our friends, our brothers, who are really buying into the nonsense that Yaka is cooking. When Yaka was a representative, how many times do we see him in a Kobo shop? How many times do we see him washing dishes? How many times do we see him doing the things he's doing? These are the type of people that present politicians in a bad light. Now he's going to the people now because he needs their support to rise up and to fight for to fight his personal battle. So he's going and identifying with the people. Yaka didn't come from Maine. Yaka was not an elite or high class person until he got in the House of Representatives, and he didn't eat with the people. He didn't go to market or eat with people. He didn't go to Coco shops. He was too high or too above the people. Now that he presumably lost his job, he's going to the people to use them to get his job back or to fight against his enemies. And unfortunately, some of our people, I don't blame the people who don't understand these things. I blame our some of our media platforms that portray that as nonsense, as heroism or whatever. I also blame some of our colleagues who are drinking that Yaka Kool-Aid. So Yeke going and eating with whatever. So what? Did Yeke refuse his pay of thousands of dollars on a monthly basis? Did he refuse amenities and other things, free gas slips and housing that he was getting? When did he ever go to those Kobo shops to say, yeah, money, improve your Kobo shop or whatever? And now I am supposed to buy into Yeke's nonsense and support him because he lost his job? I think is, again, as I said earlier, is these type of things that these so-called politicians do that undermine the image of politics in general and make people feel all politicians are just liars, all politicians are just, just there to milk people and to undermine the process. And I hope, and I like the fact that we're having this conversation, and I hope that we can have more and more of this conversation so as to educate our people about these politicians who forget about them when they're in power and making money and only run back to them, give them cups of rice, sit down with them and think they're part of them just to get them elected or just for them to accomplish their selfish political aims. And that's exactly what Yeke is doing.
You think that the theory that Yeke uses, this whole cursing and carrying on, and you can't, put touchlight on flashlight. I will give you red card and all these things. What does it do for him? Because it brings to my attention someone who is unstable. When I see a man who should be honorable using vulgarities and dressing so scanty and shabby as if to say he trying to identify with something. We're not saying that you can be downtrodden. We're not saying that you can be a grass rooter. But to what degree that you go to the lowest in character, in stature, and still want to be called a a representative or an honorable? Because
Yeah,
I think this word honorable now is misspoken, is misused.
absolutely.
Everybody is an honorable. Honorable Mike Japate.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking out to myself here. Sooner or later you will be honorable Alfonso Yenu or honorable Volcano Shelton. So
Uh,
should I put honorable now to my name?
Honorable Prophet Key.
Yeah. So what is this about? So do you think it is the right route he continues to take, and is it going to do anything for him? I understand our society is gullible. I understand our people identify with a lot of stupidity. I'll put it, but in the same token, what does it do for him down the stretch?
So here's what it does for Yeke. So people who take positions and don't know what a job requires and cannot contribute in that field find a way to cover their inadequacies. So that's one of the things Yeke is doing. Yeke will not go on the floor engage in a sound concrete debate on any policy matter. Yeke will not go on the floor to introduce a sound legislation to help his people, his district, or the country. Yeke cannot debate those issues. So what does Yeke does? So that we will see his inadequacies, Yeke makes noise and insults people and said, and then of course he gets a following by doing that. All you have to do in Liberia, unfortunately, you don't need any evidence. You just have to say Volcano Secretary is corrupt. Volcano don't spend money. The government is corrupt. Volcano is corrupt. And then people start celebrating and jumping behind you. Yeke understands that. And so that's why he does those things, going as far as even insulting people. That is so to answer your question, what does it do for him or to him? It covers up his inadequacies. Let anybody tell me when the last time they saw Yeke standing on the House floor and debating education funding and talking about how many schools are in his district, how many schools should be built, the performance of children in the schools, teacher training, clinics, the need for that, debating the budget to make sure how much money goes in the national budget for services for his district and for people. He has shown that he's incapable of doing that. So the way to cover up that inadequacy is to jump in the streets and insult people and sit and demonstrate and hope leaves in the street and wear karate clothes to distract. And you're correct. His actions are not honorable. And that's one of the reasons why he was removed from the house. Um, he was removed for two primary reasons. He took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution and bear true and allegiance to the country at all times. He did not do that. And his actions, according to his colleagues, some of which you just described, brought disrepute to the institution. And those are grounds for being removed in their rules. And their rules are sanctioned by the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. That if you bring disrepute to the House of your actions, whose representative went around insulting people and their mothers, you know, jumping on top of cars and blocking traffic, acting like a animal, monkey in the street. Is does that?
And was highly defiant,
Yes,
highly defiant,
yes,
because he felt that the honorable title was attached to
yes.
his name, and he probably had some immunities, so he could do whatever he thought necessary, which of course is the reason why he's where he's at. And I don't think he can recover from this. I'm not sure. I think he would just be another showman going around the place, and it's not getting him anywhere. Maybe with another government, but I don't think that the next 3 years he's going to be anything relevant. Now, don't get me wrong, come around the election season, yes, he could have an impact, depending on what and what takes place. But in the same token, um, it's going to be a long haul for him, because right now he's burned a lot of bridges within the inner circle, especially his own support base. I don't know what is happening in district number 10, whether the people are still looking, because we know that there should be some kind of by elections coming down the pike. And if that takes place, then of course it's over. It's over for him, because the by election will come down the pike, and eventually that will seal the deal. But let's move on from the Yeka story. Let's go now to the Ebola stuff. There is a significant Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo, with confirmed spillover into Uganda, and other regional health authorities in East Africa and the Central African uh, region are on the alert. The outbreak involves the rare strand called the Bundibugyo, Bundibugyi, also is Bundibugyo, strand of the Ebola virus, which currently has no approved vaccine or targeted treatment. So that's very concerning, Alfonso. The World Health Organization declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern, and this took place on May 17. Um, right now, as it is, there are more than 500 suspected cases and over 130 deaths. When I first heard about it, it was 80, and now it's increased by an additional 50 deaths, right? Confirmed infections are in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and imported cases in Uganda. Concerned about widespread globally, but it's very much serious in the DRC, and they're looking at places like Kampala and Goma. So this is a matter of concern. Within few days, from 80 people now is 150 as we speak. We don't even know what would that be like. Contact tracing and all of that. Uh, so East Africa is now experiencing the Ebola. It started in that same region, and it traveled on to the West African sub-region, and Liberia suffered it seriously. What is your thought about the resurgence or re-emergence of the Ebola, and how prepared is Liberia? Because we only act in the moment. There's nothing called preparation, proactive preparation ahead of time, and sooner or later we could hear of cases, because again, as I said earlier, our borders are porous. We have weak bordering flights, people in and out of the country. A lot of our Liberians, I heard going to school in Uganda, in Rwanda. I heard about Rwanda closing her border. So yes, so what do you think, and where are we going to be in the coming weeks, months, with regards to the resurgence of the Ebola virus?
That's a very serious issue, and I hope the government is taking it seriously through the Ministry of Health, and through the National Public Health Institute. because this is very serious. When Ebola occurred in Liberia, I believe it was 2020,
2013, around there.
2013, thank you. More than 4,000 people, almost 5,000 people were killed by the Ebola virus. We needed international support from the US and other countries to be able to control it. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll get that type of help right now. The US sending troops and public health people to assist us at that time. Uh, the US has now withdrawn from the World Health Organization. Um, the United States CDC is also doing very little in terms of helping the WHO and other countries in doing that. So I do not think that they are really going to come to our aid, or at least not in a way, not a level at which they did in 2013. So that makes it even more serious and makes it even more concerning for us and makes and creates an urgency for us to begin to act
And I
right
want
now.
to add this. I want to add this to support your argument. Remember
Yeah.
who was president at the time?
Yeah.
The non-profit organization, the global, Africa first female president, and
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
all of that. The
Yeah.
United
First
Nations was
female
there,
president of
so
Africa,
she got a lot because her whole government survived on donor
Nobel
aid,
Peace
right?
Prize, Nobel laureate. Now we don't have that.
Yeah, her whole government survived on donor aids.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of attention at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
The darling of the West.
Yep.
So think about us experiencing the resurgence of Ebola and coming to our shows, how you know uh, catastrophic that would be.
Yep. Yep. And let's add the fact that the American government has also changed in terms of its posture to Africa and to Liberia. The U.S. government has withdrawn from the World Health Organization, has also withdrawn or drastically cut its support to the World Health Organization. And, the many other support institutions that the U.S. supported that would have assisted in this light, such as the Centers for Disease Control, have also had their budgets and staffing cut significantly. And here we are, a poor country, struggling with a whole lot of challenges. If we have Ebola coming to the country, Ebola is a deadly disease. This current form of Ebola is even deadlier than the previous one, according to health experts and the WHO. So it's more potent, it's more deadly.
But what makes it even deadlier,
Yeah,
deadly rather, and deadlier, if you
yeah,
put it right,
yeah,
is because there's no known vaccine yet,
absolutely.
and there's no treatment protocol
There's
for it.
no cure, there's no vaccine.
Yeah,
And once you catch it, it closes your lungs and stuff, and you're most likely to die. So what safeguards do we have in place in Liberia at our ports of entry? Are we beginning to test people at the border? For example, that's one way countries are able to control that. At the very least, test people, take the temperatures, begin to do so before it gets too low. How did you raised an important question earlier? How did Ebola enter Liberia before? Through travelers. The war is now a global village. People are flying every day. Even if somebody who's infected with Ebola from the Democratic Republic of Congo or Uganda doesn't come directly to Liberia, let's say they sit on a plane with somebody who's coming to Liberia. Let's say they share, a seat with a Liberian who's traveling through one of these other
and a
countries.
lot of Liberians are now going to school in Rwanda, going
And
to
yep,
school in Kampala. You
absolutely.
know, yeah.
Yep. They could come to visit. Their people could go visit them and come back and come with it. So I think it's important for the authorities now to put into place, this type of. I wouldn't suggest closing the border at this point, but at the very least, start testing people. Start asking people where regions they travel into, where they're coming from, and then do contact tracing. So let's say Volcano gets at the airport, he gets tested. 2 3 days, you also interview him. So Volcano say, I'm going to Pinsville, Joba. I'll be staying in so and so place. When his results come back, or if Volcano figures out later that he's having figures, you can contact trace him, or he can also come back and report. So these things are very critical um, to be put into place right now to help to protect our people, because again, we do not have the healthcare system and the safeguards. God forbid if Ebola was to enter Liberia, for us to control it. We also have a very close knit society. We have communities where we live in very close quarters. Imagine Old Road, Painesville, West Point, Newtown, Broad Street. Somebody, one or two people come to the country with Ebola and go and affiliate with people. All of our drinking spots. Imagine how many other people it will get to. That is why it's important to put safeguards into place now to begin to maybe control it at beginning from the borders before it even enters and spreads. So if you test somebody and the person is showing symptoms, you can ask them to, maybe, I don't want
No,
to
but
use the
first of
word,
all,
but
Alfonso,
quarantine. Yeah,
first of all, we need to start creating the quarantining center. Have
yeah,
those places ready just in case. Look, take for instance, red light. Human beings at the red light
yeah,
rubbing on each other. I
yeah,
mean, if you see the everyday movement at the Painesville red light, you're talking waterside. Then, of course, you reference many of the entertainment center.
yeah,
You're talking about public transportation, keke, and people on bike. Four people on bike. Can you imagine? There's no space,
yeah.
body to body. That temperature hits
Breathing,
you.
breathing into each
Yeah,
other,
breathing
the
into each other.
saliva.
It's just so scary when you think about it. Then the little kids playing with each other in school.
Yep,
So a lot of vulnerabilities are present, and that is why the MPHL or not MPHIL, MPhil
yep,
needs to begin to work with the EPA and you
yep,
know work with the security apparatus, work
yep.
with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, these
Absolutely.
institutions responsible
Mhm.
for this kind of thing. Remember when Ebola came, we were not 5 point something million. So imagine we're a
Yep.
smaller population.
Mhm.
Now we peaking towards 6 million, because I can tell you for a fact every day someone is leaving from Nigeria, someone is leaving from Burkina Faso, someone is leaving from Sierra Leone, someone is leaving from Guinea, the Guinea we're fighting with, someone is leaving from the Ivory Coast, somewhere is leaving from somewhere in the world and coming to Liberia. I'm not even talking about the Asians.
Yep.
They are thronging into the country.
Yep.
So many people coming, and these flights are not. It's not like you flying from one country straight to the next. You got to
No
make these stopovers and these long
stopovers,
layovers
layovers.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. The transition between planes and so many uh, uh, vulnerabilities that will lead to someone contracting, the disease. So I think, we're having this conversation. They shouldn't be focusing on, politics all day. This is a national health matter.
Yep.
It's of significance. And people, I will advise those who I know, if you're listening to me now, pay attention to the global news, pay attention to the African news, start staying away, stop avoiding public places, stop riding public transportation. If you don't have to go somewhere, stay your behind home, like the people say, and protect yourself, because you don't know when this stuff could travel to the sub-region, in the West African sub-region.
Yep. And you made two very important points. Education, educating our people. This is the time now to begin to take to the airwaves, to go into communities, and the National Public Health Institute of Liberia has a very important role to play in this direction. And private media institutions as well, because this is a national health and national security concern. To begin to educate our people about these things. The second thing is going back to tracing and security and detection. You've made a very important point. People travel from those counties, I mean, states and countries all the times. How can we use our embassies, for example, to begin, when somebody goes to the embassy in Uganda or in Rwanda and stuff to get a visa or some travel document to come to Liberia, how can we document that to say which country this person is coming from? so that at the very least that person can be monitored. At the very least, that person can be tested at the border or point of entry. And at the very least, our security, our disease detection teams can monitor that person's travel in country if they were to enter Liberia. So, for instance, if they entered, let's say, at a RIA, and then they travel to, let's say, Grand Bassa country, how can we follow the person to, so that when we see symptoms of something in Grand Bassa, we are able to control it? These are the different things that need to be put into place by UNFIL, by the Ministry of Health, and also public education by all the media institutions in the country. Because if Ebola was to enter the country, everybody will be
But
impacted.
I think what we have on our side as an advantage. We've
Yeah.
experienced it, so we can
Yes.
go back to the drawing board and look at what we did then and what we can do differently, so
Yep.
that we be prepared. Let us not wait to be reactive. I think that's the context
That's
under
the
which
key.
I'm speaking.
That is the key. That is the key. Let's not wait and react. Let's be proactive. Let's look at people who are asking for visas and traveling to Liberia. Let's monitor which countries they are transiting through. When they enter Liberia, let's see where they're going. Let's test them at the border before they enter the country. Let's see where they're going, so that if we test them at the border and they don't have symptoms, we can still follow them to see if they develop symptoms later on. Because as we said earlier, imagine a group of people in real life in West Point, in Newtown, and other congested places. That's one of the ways Ebola really killed thousands of people in Liberia. Other people were also taking care of relatives and bathing them and cleaning them, not knowing the impact and the effect. That's where education will play a role.
Thank you. Thank you. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Issues Room. The Issues Room is a social media alternative platform here. We come your way on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Alfonso Yeno, myself here, Volcano Shelton. We should have had Moses with us, but again, probably has to do with circumstances. But anyhow, we are making this presentation tonight. We're looking at a few things happening in the country. One of which we just discussed is the Ebola now resurfacing in East Africa. And also, we earlier talked about the Yega Koluba request for renewal of a diplomatic passport through the House of Representatives. Well, accordingly, he's been expelled, and there's no reason for him to have um, a diplomatic passport. So, as we continue the conversation, I'd like to uh, welcome all of you: Thomas Awaji, Sibo Mapanya, Emmanuel Jackson. Thank you for joining us here. Raymond Clark, uh, Dr. Telfor Ammons, our man. Are you still running to be president? My man, we're here for you, though. Enoch Na, thank you for coming in tonight. We encourage you to please share the link, invite folks to join us here as we now move into the next phase of the conversation. We're going to post the number just in case if someone wants to call, you can. And Siba Mapaya is saying there's a feedback on Alfonso's end. So just lower your monitor because I heard it, but I didn't want to disturb your train of thought. But yeah, so thanks for sharing, Sibo. Um, but as I said, you can catch us on Tuesday once a week. We're gonna start with once a week, and then on Thursday I'll be here with the Volcano Shelton show, my show. So we're gonna go 2 times a week, one for the Issues Room and one for Volcano, until we can decide what we want to do. But as it is right now, everyone is so busy, and we just didn't want to keep the platform dead because a lot of folks were behind us, wanting us to come back, and I feel good coming back. I hope we can have our full strength in our next production next week. But again, everyone's so busy, and things come about. So thanks again for joining us. Love us, like us, and follow us again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the other thing we wanted to talk about, as you can see from our discussion here tonight, is the uh, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives Liberia, Mr. Thomas Fala. He's just established a new organization called the National Independent Movement for Boakai in Liberia. Um, the founder, he's the vision bearer and the founder. I don't know if at some point it's going to turn into a political party, but according to reports, Fala announced the movement while publicly declaring support for President Joseph Yuma Boakai and his development agenda. Um, he said Nimbo will mobilize political, physical, and financial support for the Boakai administration across Liberia, especially among people who support the government, but not only members of the Unity Party. He says that Nimbo will establish structures in all counties. Alfonso, the movement's goal is to promote President Boakai's development programs. He's intending to have the organization serve as a broad based support movement rather than a formal Unity Party wing. So it's not going to be a part of the Unity Party. His involvement with Nimbo came after a major political shift. You and I know that Thomas Fala was one of the stalwarts within the Congress for Democratic Change. He later broke ranks with House Speaker Funadi Kofa doing that. Rankles when Kofa was uh, being, removed from the speakership, and then he eventually got expelled from the CDC. Now he's collaborating with the Barker administration. I think some people are saying that it comes across as a conflict of interest to be a sitting deputy speaker and establishing an organization that he claims to have complete uh, uh, no involvement, right? No affiliation with the ruling party. Do you see that as conflict of interest?
I think we need to be Liberian people we have to jump off the high chair of just criticizing every day and all the time, and really also define these concepts. What exactly is conflict of interest? The Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Johnson, is going around advocating for President Trump. The senators in the U.S. are doing the same thing. There's absolutely not. These are politicians. They represent political parties and interests. There's nothing wrong with them advocating their political views.
They got to hang their clothes where the sun shine.
Yeah, yeah, then they can do that too. There's nothing prevents them from doing it. So, if an elected official government in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, a separate branch of government, advocating for a candidate or a political movement really has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with conflict of interest. And we have to be careful with how we define and advocate for these terms, or else we undermine our own credibility and we confuse people with this conflict of interest concept. So I personally do not see that as conflict of interest at all. The young man is a politician. He believes, based upon what you just read to me, that the Black administration is undertaking development that he believes is the right thing to do. He believes they're doing the right thing, so he's supporting that. He plans to go around the country and mobilize resources to support the government's development agenda and to re-elect Mr. Boakai, which he has every right to do, and I do not see any conflict of interest at all. And if anybody thinks it's
But
a
but
conflict
but
of
but but
interest,
Alfonso,
let them
the
come with
house
their
is a
point of
separate
view.
the house
Yep,
is a separate branch of government. It's expected to be neutral, operate within the confines of neutrality, right? It's
yep.
a check and balance form of government. And if you have the second most important man in the House of Representatives supporting the current president in the open to the point that he establishes NIMBO, come on now. What do you say to that? I mean, you're the guy who I got so much regards for because you come from a legal side, but I'm the water side man, so I need to understand it. But make it clear because optics, right? Optics plays a part. And tell me if Thomas Fala should be doing this. And again, you did mention, but how many people are going to understand it from that neutral perspective his role probably calls for.
So when people run on political party tickets to go to the House, for example, they do so because they believe in the political party's mission and vision. So when they go to the House, they vote on bills, they introduce legislation that advance that political party's platform and programs and views. There's no conflict of interest there. When Republicans go to the Senate or the House, they project the Republican Party's platform. They vote upon the Republican because that's what they believe in, and that's why they went there. So when a member of the House of Representatives or of the Senate in Liberia say, I believe in this platform and I'm going to support this platform, there's no conflict of interest. They can vote that way because that's what they believe. If somebody tells me if I'm joining this political party or I'm supporting this candidate because they say when they get elected they will build football fields, and I believe in building, in football fields, then I vote that way. How is that a conflict of interest? If somebody tells me there will be airports and I vote for them, that's what I believe in. It equally says somebody said they will build roads and provide electricity and build schools and provide internet so little people can, young people can work it. And I say I support that person. How is that conflict of interest? So I think we are conflicting the concept of conflict of interest here when we argue that this is conflict of interest. Again, I want to hear other people's views about how
So
this constitutes
so let me
conflict
just
of
quickly
interest.
share with the viewers here. If you want to
Yeah.
call in, the number is now posted.
Mm.
404-272-2808. 404-272-2808. Call right now if you want to contribute. Any of the topics, we posted a topic. Again, I can post them. We talked about Yega Koloba request for a diplomatic passport that has been rejected by the House. We also talk about the Ebola that is now in East Africa, and we're now discussing the issue of sitting Deputy Speaker Thomas Fala establishing a movement to support President Bouaka. Some folks are deeming it as conflict of interest. Some people say he's now shifted gear and he's with uh, you know um, with the ruling government. Uh, Dr. Telfo Ammon said, Mr. Sheldon, thanks for mentioning my name. Yes, I shall be ready to participate in the elections for 2029. All right. So,
Ocano,
Dr.
before you go on, let me ask a question to spice up the discussion. So when former speaker, what's his name, who was removed,
Kofa
um,
Funati.
Fonati Kofa was speaker and member of the CDC, was that conflict of interest? Did anybody talk about it as conflict of interest at the time? I mean, Fonati Kofa went around the country campaigning for CDC and for Mr. Weir. Was that conflict of interest? When speakers before Fonati Kofa also campaigned for political parties and publicly supported governments and government agenda. Was that conflict of interest? That is not conflict of interest. Again, I want to hear the views of people who claim
And
that it's conflict of
Dr.
interest.
Emmons is in agreement that
Yeah.
he's not in error of promoting the sitting president's agenda. Is his right? As a government official, of course. And I think this is all coming around the corner because he's no longer aligned with the so-called biggest opposition party to the ruling government, and so anything that anyone does now, it hurts. So, for instance, and it will be another topic we'll come to with regards to the Samuel Tua issue. With juror tampering and all of that. We'll come to that conversation, not today, but again, these are the kinds of things that the opposition community take and they run with it, and they create a hullabaloo around the situation just to diffuse the intelligence and mindset of people who don't have a lot of understanding on these kinds of matters, and then it becomes a complete confusion you know. But the truth here is, again, I think I side with you that Mr. Fala is his own man. He has the right to support whoever he wants. In fact, he was not put in that position by Joe Boycott. It was by the people in his district. He's answerable to his people. And even in his district, they got people who support the government and people who are against the government, but he represents them. And in his capacity, if he decides to do something outside of, I don't think he's taking the shrine and set it up in his district.
No.
He's organizing his movement and say, I think I like what the president's development agenda is. It's good for the country. We are, on the right trajectory, a trajectory in the right path. And so I find it, very intriguing. I will support. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
Hopefully he's not Yeke Koluba, who after 1 month you say you brought the government of power. Then after 1 month, you just disappear. You start cussing everybody again. You know what? So let's see what happens. With this. But again, the number to call 404-272-2808 if you want to make a contribution. So Alfonso, we're at 8 o'clock. Let's spend the last 10-15 minutes quickly to wrap this up. The last part of this conversation is the University of Liberia. You said someone kind of attacked you on the issue of the students. They said that you said something, but you will clarify that. But I wanted to read something here that I received that has to do with what um, was written by the Liberian investigator, right? Dr. Mapayan, Leila Mapayan, who is the current president of the University of Liberia, uh, was interviewed on Lux FM. And Lux FM is the university's radio station 106.5. She made a statement that the fact uh, the registration fees need to go up. Registration fees need to go up. When she had an interview by Friday of this past Friday, that soundbite blew up on social media, and she was asked if she really said that, you know, the university registration fee needs to go up, and she said, I meant it. What I did not say, contrary to what social media reports, is that school fees will be higher next semester. So apparently she may have said fees and they attributed it to school fees. So the issue here is not fees, that is school fees. I don't know how we term school fees,
Hmm. Hmm.
whether it's tuition or what, because there's no tuition. So
Yep.
fees could be the other things. But
Hmm.
registration, they did not say you would come to school for free. You will not register. You have to register. You have to pay something, right? So I
Yep.
just want to go through the stuff so we can discuss it quick. So she said that school fees, but that especially goes for National Flagship University. She said it's a fact. You cannot buy today's rice at yesterday's price, right? As prices rise, if you pay less, you get less. I want more and better for Liberia students. If more costs more, we pay more and get more. If we don't have the money, we'll find the money, but we don't keep living the yesterday price lifestyle when the world is moving on. We get creative and we get enterprising and we step up our game so that we can make the difference, right? This is what I'm asking of the university. Let's say students have been paying 100, I mean, rather 200 Liberian dollars for a student ID card for the last 10 years. And today, student ID cards cost 1,100 Liberian dollars. I'm just using an ID as an example, she says. So don't quote me again and turn it into something. So students ask, why we rather don't have ID cards now? So I present the research and say we can buy ID cards for 200 Liberian dollars because the cost now is 1,100 Liberian dollars. So you will not want to pay 1,100 Liberian dollars. So what's the essence of having an ID card, right? So we don't need the ID card. Just again, an example. So there's an assumption that the UL's overall budget can cover everything for free because the number seems so big. But then I explain, meaning Dr. Mapayan, all the other costs that the budget has to cover. People nod their heads. So when they see this budget and she breaks it down, then people begin to, nod heads and scratch heads. These are the kinds of conversation we have in the President's Student Advisory Council. We share price research and we talk about the real cost of higher education today. As we discuss all over the world, higher education has gotten more costly, expensive over the last several decades. For example, advances in technology alone and the energy requires to keep devices running have boosted academic costs year after year. From the popularization of computers in the 1980s, the internet, the World Wide Web in the 1990s, social media in the 2000s, cloud computing in the 2010s, and now AI in the 2020s. There is no end in sight. Higher ed needs tech, energy, money in quantity. So, I couldn't read everything, but the fact here remains that what makes these people, and give me my little 5 minutes, you will come in. What makes these students at the University of Liberia to think that $15, if $15 is the registration fee, that money? $15? Now, somebody would say, oh, my man, don't be insensitive. You because not because you in America, not because you here, not because you there. But many of those students drink $15 at the student center. They're offering girls. They're offering girls. I'm being honest with you. Now there are some that are indigent, but that doesn't mean that $15 for a whole year to register you can't find, right? But the truth of the matter is that's why you have all these people going to the university that don't want to graduate because it's so free and under supported that they can just hang around and drag around because they barely paying nothing. You and I know that, Alfonso, one credit for a graduate degree for some schools is $1,200 per credit, United States dollars per credit. Do you think that if you do that multiplication of $3,600 per course, maybe with some other fees added, $3,800 per course, do you think you want to go to that university and fool around? Do you think you want to go down there and strike or make noise all day and call in the professor of the university, Dr. My Problem, Jato woman, and this and that? Do you think you have the time to do that nonsense? But because it's waterside education they want, it's free for all, people just come there and make a mess and they think that you can you can go to school for free. When the lady mentioned the different stages of technology and how it has changed, imagine the situations I just talked about. That's what you call online. You're not even having a teacher interaction. Over there you got people paying their ways, teachers coming to school, you disrupting classes. Those people got to depend on the small pay that they're getting. Then they create their pamphlets and stuff. So I just thought to think about this in that context, that these people, everything they polarize it and politicize it and make it seem as though this doggone country should never make an improvement. And the University of Liberia, as important as it is, one of the premier universities in the sub-region, not because we in a mess now. Liberia UL was the it in the day, back in the day. So to see it like this, because we have all kind of passing around calling themselves students and just creating crisis and problems, we need to stiffen the enrollment. The university needs to increase fees so that we can weed off some of these people who are not serious about education. Take it over.
I think it was former the late University of Liberia president Dr. Stephen Yekison, if I'm not wrong, who said if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. And Dr. Mapayan is right. As prices go up, as costs go up, everything goes up. You if as she correctly said, the analogy she gave, if an ID card cost $50 yesterday, but it costs $50, I mean, it costs $100 today, you still want to pay $50? Who's going to pay the other $50 to get you an ID card? And education is changing, it's transforming, and we need to pay for it. And I think students need to begin to sit down and have that reflection, but also engage with administration. And I like the fact the reference, as you were reading what Dr. Mapayan said, there's a reference that she has these conversations in administration student council
Advisory
meetings,
council, yeah.
advanced council meetings. That's very noble. That's very important. Students need to go to these places and have conversations and come up with ideas and thoughts as well. Everything shouldn't be jumping in the streets and disrupting and breaking things and insulting people. Let's have a dialogue as a group of people involved in something, people who want education and people who are providing education, and find a common ground about how to address our challenges. The second point I want to make here is that unfortunately, past leaderships, national governments, and even university leadership have not put the right mechanisms in place. But why do I say that? Even from the
Could you lower
top,
your speaker small more
yeah,
again?
even from the top, I forgot to, sorry, even from the top administration through the door administration, assistance in education, supporting education was targeted. So Tava said, look, we need teachers around the country. So if you go to Teachers College, it's free. In fact, government will get you started. Don't maintain that and say we have agriculture, we have forestry, we have healthcare. If you go to MWT, it will be free. We'll also give you stuff. Unfortunately, past governments just jumped from in the sky because they knew they were doing two things. One, that the institution needs to be supported, so people who can afford let them do it. Two, we have a national development plan that prioritizes these areas, so that's where we want to put our resources. When you just come and say in a blanket way, all college is free, everything is free, it becomes a problem because A, you are not being targeted in terms of use of your resources and your revenue, and B, you create a situation, a system that you are not funding. So
Let me
then when
pause you
people,
there.
yeah,
I want to add in here because when former President Weah came with his knee-jerk decision, I don't think he and his so-called finance minister and his education minister and the people around him saw that the cost of education, and we should know better because I think he said he got a master's degree, so I don't think he got it for free, right? But the cost associated with education, just education in Liberia, the national budget of the country is a drop in the bucket.
yep,
It's a drop in the bucket to cover education in Liberia, just to say the least. So imagine you make this kind of lofty, important component of your society that is so illiterate that you want to advance to literacy, and you make it free with barely any support, the educational budget of the whole country, right, doesn't commensurate with the request that you made. And then you open this floodgate of nonsense. And then you want somebody to continue to stomach it.
yep,
People should continue to support this when even it's failing. And then you blame an international educational expert who sees the need to help a country. Dr. Mapayan is qualified to work anywhere else outside of Liberia, but she sees the needs because of her connection to the country, and she comes there to see how she can take this university from a dark day and bring it to the limelight and make it comparable to at least the sub-region. I'm not even saying to the international community, but just the sub-region. And you think you're going to do that on free education? You think you're really going to do that? But let's come to the reality here. The money that we are was bragging about paying for WIAC fee. How much is WIAC fee? When the so-called schools, those rotten Johnny Tier schools, the graduation fee alone, that's school fees.
Yep.
And to compel the students to pay that. But the family can pay that. But a small, what they call it, YF fee or YC fee, however they now name it,
Yep.
that the one he bragging about.
Pay.
But with a graduation
Why
fee, the
why
whole
fee
school
that is
fee,
just once a year?
yeah.
Yeah.
So look at the contradiction here. Has anyone thought about it? That the graduation fees of these so-called public schools, secondary schools around the country, universities around the country, just graduation fee. Now that's small money. Then you
Yep.
talking about why that you pay for once a year.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that in, that to have a good quality educational system, our national budget, or you put it together, it's taking too much. So
Absolutely.
imagine that budget cost is sucked up by almost 75% on salaries. So what is it you're going to get out of it?
Nothing. And I think going forward, President Barker's administration or approach should begin rethinking how people pay for college education in Liberia. Maybe they should start thinking about introducing. Maybe they should start introducing the same similar system to what we have here, so people take loans and pay for that money. And when that happens, where you take a loan and you have to pay for it, or you have to work to get it erased, that will go a long way in helping to sustain and support
But
higher
where,
education.
where, where are the graduate assistantship that we do here in America?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
they got some smart students. They
Yep,
could be, doing stuff and paying their school fees by the service they give back to the university. You
yep.
cannot make any university free,
No.
and the fees are chicken, peanut, chicken change, peanut. It's not possible.
Yep.
It is not possible today.
You
It is not
cannot
possible
give
tomorrow.
everybody it. You cannot give every. I think that's one of the problems. That's the system. So public universities here, people who cannot afford based upon the tax return and income, they give them more aid. People who can afford based upon their income, they don't give them the same amount of aid. When you make a policy that cuts across the board, that's not sound economic or financial policy. Because why are you subsidizing millionaires, for instance, who can afford to pay the tuition? When you should be subsidizing poor kids who cannot afford. And by implementing or announcing these blanket things, now you don't have the resources to support everybody. And that's where the problem comes in. So I hope the current administration starts to think along those lines and say, hey, we shouldn't support Thomas Fowler's children and say free education for them. We should say no. Let's support Olere Matos children and child and say you go to school cheaper, but Tamaka Fowler can afford, Funantikova can afford, so let him or her pay their tuition. And then the money we get, we support the school system, and then again, government also doesn't have to put too much money into the system.
And but Alfonso,
That's
even
sound policy making.
some of these political appointments, some of the guys don't have degrees, right? But they
Yeah,
still give them the job and they pay them hefty.
yeah,
Why shouldn't they pay tuition? Why should they be on the same, trajectory of the ordinary downtrodden boy
yeah,
who's from Sonny Wen, who's from West Point, trying to get a piece of education. He's smart, but he has no support.
yep,
And then you got all kind of men coming in
yep,
who can afford, but it's all free for everybody.
yeah.
This
That's
was the
that's
most nonsensical thing
that's
George Weah
that's
and his
not
government did for
that's not sound
education. And that is why,
public policy.
yeah, and that is why his education is questioned.
Yeah.
George Weah's education is questioned because Weah should have known better that there's no way a destroyed country like Liberia, a country emerging out of war, a country where everything has fallen apart, where the government depends on aid, where the government barely can make money, to say that you're going to make education free all because you wanted to gain rather access to a second term. There is no way that education will not be of standard. It will be ordinary. It will not compete anywhere. And that is why when you see these students graduating from the University of Liberia and they're having a party and they know they can't speak the English, they come on Facebook and they disgrace the University of Liberia, they disgrace the UMU, they disgrace the AMEU, they disgrace the Cottington, they disgrace all the bloody schools around the country, high schools everywhere. They disgrace them because the education is substandard. It's substandard. And so when you pay people peanut, they will teach peanut. Just like Dr. Mapaya is saying today, call me Dr. My problem, but you are your own problem. You Liberian students at the University of Liberia are your own problems. You don't want to learn. You don't want to learn. You want to create noise. You want to jump all in the street. You're the one wasting your time. Leila Mapaya is learned. She's accomplished. And she can do without the University of Liberia. But she tries to give her service to a country that needs it. And if you guys were smart, you would take advantage of this free education and put yourself in the right position to learn and get out of there so you can be the next thing in the house, in the ministries, in civil service to help your country. Rather than wear khakis with insignia on it and calling yourself soup. Y'all can fight. Y'all can make all this noise. Why you go to the border to go move Guinea from there? That way else you start. You're the soup man and y'all say you're militant. Oh, they're militant. Why you can go to the doggone border to move the Guinean troops from there? Y'all start from there. But y'all want to cause trouble because they want to raise registration fee. You think education is cheap? You really think that? Some of the private schools in the country making more money than the University of Liberia. The tuitions alone, like I said, the graduation fee is more than even the WAEC fee. And what does the government do? Sit there and does nothing about it. So this situation something has to be done, Alfonso, as we wrap up on this topic. You're muted.
I totally agree. Again, I go back to what I said earlier, that the student leadership now has a seat at the table. So they should go and sit at this table and have conversations about how their education can be supported and come up with ideas about how to move the university forward. At a university level, you are now adults and you can provide.
Alfonso, let me
Yeah,
take this caller quick.
yeah,
Yeah, just hold your train of thought there.
please.
Hello, caller. Caller, you are live. Hello.
Yes, Fakino and my brother there,
Alfonso.
long time.
Yeah.
Alfonso, yeah, long time. Yeah, I mean,
Is this
problem at
Emmanuel?
yeah, Emmanuel Jackson from
Okay.
Boston.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to be brief. The problem is the radicalizing of the student body at LU. Ever since I saw this thing coming in the late 70s when they had the soup party, and then there was another party, and they were calling the other party the Congo People Party, and they were calling soup the Native People Party, and I mean they just went on. I would be blunt. Famula, Sawyer, Tibote, all these guys, they just radicalized that university. If you look at the student body at LU, there's nothing they talk about all the time. They just talk about radical things, There's nothing. I remember this guy died the other day, and Famula was in town, and they went to get his body. One guy was called Jassy or something like that, and the university student went. Or even Alaji Kroma's memorial service. I mean, it's just these guys came from abroad. They had the best of education. They went to LU instead of teaching the children, devoting more to science and mathematics and other things. They just radicalized the university with this native and Congo thing. Let's be fair. That is what LU ended up into. It started from the 70s, and we were in the 21st century. We still see that kind of influence at the university, the sole university of the country, where people should be talking about science and technology and everything else. I remember in the 70s, LU used to go on TV and do experiment. They did an experiment with carbon something, but it was showing about gas. I remember I was watching TV, either 1974 or 75. I mean, the university was of standard. But when these guys who had all this political education came back home, they just went to LU and radicalized the student body over there. And ever since, that has not changed. We still see the reflection of it in the 21st century. And this is what causing problem.
Yeah, and especially thinking that they can still go to school for free. I mean, there's no way around it, man. There's no way.
Yeah, and exactly. That's what also all these guys were talking. Remember when they did the election thing, and they talked about bringing the rice down to $16 a bag, and all these things will be made cheaper for the people, not knowing the cost of it. I mean, it's bad what most of our former or educated people did to the university. They just radicalized the student movement. And ever since, it hasn't changed. All day, they just under the Palawa hut.
Yeah.
Or student camp, and just talking political things, talking Marxist words and South African words and all that kind of nonsense.
It gets them nowhere. Thank you, man. Well, thank you, man. Good to see you. I mean, hear from you. It's been a while, but yeah, we're going to be doing Tuesdays now, once a week with the Issues Room. And, we always look forward to your insightfulness. Thank you for sharing. You've been around for a while with us, and we appreciate it.
And you right now, education in Liberia should be focused on science and technology, because that's where the world is going. Like you were talking about the AI thing, and how the current president was talking about it. Education is advancing; it's not going backward.
Thank you. All right. So, Alfonso Jones Mali from Alja wrote something here. He says, panelists, you should balance your arguments with a level of pragmatic objectivity. Now, I don't understand what Mr. Mali is talking about, but since the founding of our nation, education has persistently been deprioritized in terms of long-term sustainability. Our education was exemplary owing to its administration and management by foreigners under the Tottenham Open Door policy. The government has not yet executed a strategic plan for education. Is it feasible for the government to establish a students' loan program? His question. The majority of post-war students in Liberia are without employment. Increasing fees seems advantageous, however, it entails security and hardship implications. Should a UL streamline its leadership structure? Is a long-term student loan system justified? I think so. So then, where are we not balancing the conversation, Dr. Mali, because we are seeing here that logically, there's nowhere you can go to school for free. Nowhere. You got doctor behind your name. It was not free doctorate. So even at any level, everything can be free. And the woman is not saying that they're going to pay school fees. She said registration fee has to increase because it is not sustainable. You know why? The government budget for the university goes more to salary. Now, if you say streamline the leadership, the faculty, but you got to then also streamline the size of the class. You can't have 200 students in one class, and then you only got one teacher teaching that subject. We got to have several teachers teaching the subject.
Yep.
So there must be an equilibrium here. So I want you to go back and create some strategy and share with us again so we can post it. But in the same vein, we're just telling you, the public, that there is no way that continued free education in Liberia is sustainable. Whether hardship, whether no hardship, especially at the tertiary level, at the university level, when the world is moving lightning fast, there's no way. The last time I was in school was 9 years ago. Completed my doctorate, raised to candidacy, left with my what you call it dissertation. Stuff happened, Alfonso. I left school. I'm re-enrolling because of that length of time. I have to do many of my courses and then
Redoing, yeah.
do 5 dissertation classes to complete now, and I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna work. But imagine what I was paying then per credit. It's no longer, and I'm here beating on myself why I didn't do as I why I didn't just stick with it. Imagine a man took his comprehensive exams, raised to candidacy. All left was the dissertation. And something major happened in my life that I just couldn't find the time to do it. And I just fell by the wayside. So I'm just giving you this as an example that there is no way that education in Liberia, especially at the University of Liberia, will remain free and that they will pay the same fees. We have been gone 6 years. Baka is there 2.5 going 3. That 9 years. If you were paying $15 9 years ago, you expect to pay $15 now. My man, I'll leave it with you. Just wrap it up.
Yeah, let me wrap it up by saying this. First of all, Dr. Mali made a few points that we need to streamline staffing at the university. To streamline, we must first know what the staffing level is. Is it the staffing level that's causing the financial problem? Is it overstaffed? We don't know. If Dr. Mali has data, let him provide it to us. Second thing I want to push back on is that Dr. Mali said the reason the university performed well in the 70s or under Tubman was because foreigners ran it. I want to push back on that as well. Because it creates the impression that somehow Liberians are incapable and only foreigners can run it. I want to push back on that piece. Second, student loan. He said, third, he said, if we introduce a student loan program,
I can
there are
repost this
people
stuff so you can
who,
see. I can repost this stuff so you can see
yeah,
it. So you
he
can
said,
pick.
if we introduce a student loan program, will be problematic because students are not employed. That's why it's a loan. You don't pay while you're going to school. You pay after you go to school. So yes, when people go to school, it is assumed that they don't have the money right now. So then they pay later on when they graduate and they start working. And here in this country, what do they do? If you went to teacher college or you became a doctor or whatever and you want your student loan waived, they say here are the options. If you go to an inner city under funded school, inner city school, and you work there for a certain amount of years, we'll waive your student loan. If you're a doctor, excuse me, if you went to a rural place where that's they don't have a lot of doctors and healthcare is needed, waive your student loan. So we don't need all students to
And
be
that's a very
employed.
good point. You know that because there are many universities now across the counties.
Yep.
You have Grand Jita University, you have Grand Bassa University, you have Nimba University. So yes, people can go to school on that, for that purpose, so that they can go out there in the Leeward counties to go and teach. That would be some of the strategy to use. Good point, Alfonso. Go ahead. I just
Yeah,
wanted to share that.
yeah, I know. So I was just responding directly to some of the points that Dr. Mali made.
Oh,
So
now
and
he asking me where is the plan, but I thought
well,
let
I
him help us
couldn't
with the plan.
I couldn't tell what the plan is, but we
Dr.
cannot
Malik,
be.
you got to help us with the plan, or
But
just call in and share your view.
let me even throw it back to him. If he believes there's no plan, if he hasn't seen a plan, then what did he base his comment on that we should reduce staffing, for example? Because we solve problems after we identify that the problems exist and what the problems are. If we don't know that the problem of financing funding at the university is staffing, how are we just going to start cutting staffing right away? So that's what I haven't seen a plan at the university, but at the same time, that's why we're making proposals that going forward, we should introduce things like student loan. We should be strategic in terms of which schools are funded by government and which schools are not funded. Those are proposals we're currently making to the administration of the university and to the government of Liberia.
Yeah.
And so let's invite Dr. Mali to come up with some ideas. He can send them to us or whatever, and maybe let's start a project where we gather and share ideas and suggestions on the TI platform, and maybe with the university administration, with the government.
Thank you, Alfonso. Let's spend 2 or 3 minutes. I know you're not a fan of what type of country is this, but you got to get into it. And unfortunately, Moses is not here tonight. But man, listen, what type of country is this that a former lawmaker who made no law to say that the day I leave from here, I'm still entitled to diplomatic passport, but he wants diplomatic passport? What type of country is this?
What type of country is this? What type of country is this that, every government official just want, after making thousands of dollars, now he wants us to pay for a diplomatic passport for him as well. What type of leaders are there that we have in that country?
But what type of country is this? The representative was not even a day out of office. He started begging for gas money, begging the people for sleeping place because he's coming to do his county tour. What type of country is this?
The gas slip, he stopped receiving the gas slip. They used to sell the gas slip when they get it, so they didn't keep it. So they finished.
Thomas Awaji, we're waiting for you. We're waiting for you. What type of country is this? Is on? What type of country is this that the people say that they hunting Samuel Tuwe because he won the first case? So that double jeopardy, the government chasing him through the asset recovery.
What type of country is this that every Liberian think they're a lawyer and they know about every topic under the sun? They even don't understand what double jeopardy is. They just think once the man is not guilty of one crime, one charge, that means he's not guilty of all the other different charges. What type of country is this?
But what type of country is this, Alfonso, I meant to say, that the people damn serious that they think the University of Liberia will be free forever?
Yep.
What type of country is this? Even your salvation now, you got to pay for it.
You pay for
Because
it.
the pastor then say, you put something in a plate, you're not going to heaven.
Yeah.
What type of country is this?
What type of country is this? Salvation used to be free only honor Jesus Christ. No longer honor these pastors.
All the churches in Liberia, all the churches, all the one that money business. What type of country is this that they're telling you now you got to pay for your salvation before you go to heaven, Alfonso?
Yeah.
What type of country is
What
this?
type of what type of country is this that all the young girl and women just think their salvation is in the church under these corn pastor them? What type of country is this?
But what type of country is this? We got one of our doctor colleagues somewhere in New England. He said he agree with us, but free education has ended. He said yes, the era for it has ended, but yet we require a strategic plan for the future of Liberia. But we're asking the doctor to give us this plan, and we inviting him to the show. But still, the doctor still telling us he agreed, but he can't tell us the plan. What type of country is this?
We need a strategic plan. We do. We agree, Doc. We need a strategic plan. But let's work on that strategic plan together. I'm sure Dr. Mapayan and even other education authorities will appreciate our suggestions.
But as we leave tonight, we want to thank all of you for joining us here, Dr. Jones Malley. Thank you for coming, Dr. Telford Emmons. Thank you for coming, Jerry Kian, all the way out there in Liberia. It was good to have you, my brother. Good seeing you. Thank you for joining us here, Raymond Clark. Also, Joseph Zize. Thank you, Brother Zize, for showing up here tonight in the issues room. Of course, you Montreal Kringa, it's been a while. It's good to see you, Sibo Mapaya. Thanks for the feedback. We appreciate your viewership. Thomas Awaji, of course, one of the uh, early supporters of the issues room. We have We Fight, We Win. This uh, person came in tonight. It's good to see you, Enoch, Na, and Richard Tyler. Thank you for joining us here tonight. It was a good conversation. We will be back here next Tuesday again. Please like us, follow us, and love us. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Our Issues Room page is on YouTube. You can catch us there simultaneously while we're on Facebook if you don't have a Facebook account. We'd like to thank all of you, Alfonso. It was great conversation. I think we paid, our how do I put it, our price for the time we've been away, and was a little rusted yet, but we get back in the full swing of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so technology was still working. I
Yep.
would continue to improve on it, especially from your end. But nevertheless, I thought it was a great show, good conversation, good insights. Anything that you want to close with?
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. It was a great show. It was a very great show. Conversation was great. Thank our listeners. Um, and encourage them to share the show next time. We'll be on Tuesdays, 7 or 8 p.m. Definitely support the show. We are a show that wants to get away from what other shows do, screaming, yelling, claiming things that are not true, peddling gossips. I heard this, I got inner source when in fact they have no sources and they're just trying to create a sensation. Our goal is to present you the facts, concrete analysis, and work with you in developing our community and our country. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night, and we'll be back here next Tuesday. But don't forget to join me on Thursday, this Thursday, for the Volcano Shelton Show. I'll be here at that point, 7 p.m. same time, uh, here on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Until then, all of you have a pleasant night. Good night, everyone.